Hi, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Too Opinionated, where today I am just so thrilled to be joined by actress Melora Walters. So, welcome, Melora.
Thank you. I'm thrilled to be on your show.
No, the honor is ours. This is
No,
a big deal for us.
no, I love it. You don't get to.
Oh, thank you so much. We'll be using that for quite a while. Well, let's start this way. Tell me a little bit about what got you into the entertainment business.
Okay.
I know that's a loaded question.
I am essentially an artist. So my first memories are of like drawing in the sand and
Yeah.
and then when I could write, I would write little stories and I would draw pictures. And I considered myself an artist, like even at 5.
Yeah.
I'm an artist.
That's awesome.
But I wanted to be a dancer, ballet.
Okay.
That didn't happen. So I was always and then I went to Pratt Institute in New York,
Yeah.
to make it legit. Okay, now I'm an
That's
artist.
right.
And while I was in Pratt, I had this assignment by at the time, he was a relatively famous illustrator named Baron Story, and he made a huge impact on me, and he suggested I turn this illustration into a performance. So I had to like build masks because they were half animal, half human.
Yeah.
Made these costumes. It was only 3 people, and I found a stage, and I got permission, and I built the sets, and I painted.
Wow.
And then there were 2 men and 1 woman, and I found that I was the woman. So as I'm painting and fixing things backstage, Baron's also a musician, so he made the music. So
Right.
like I'm in college going, can you make the sound of infinity? That's the kind of college student. Well, that doesn't sound like infinity. Can you add a and so when I stepped on stage, having studied dance, it wasn't,
Yeah.
it was like, I thought, oh my God, to be a performer in front of people is like, I still had paint on my arm, I am the painting. I am the painter. Everything gesture I make, because we had to read Stanislavski, because how you pose a model denotes emotion. I was like, wow, like acting, performing is the ultimate art form because you're living and breathing art.
I like that.
That's how I got into acting.
That, I like that. And I think it's interesting that a lot of the actors, musicians, artists that we talk to, they're proficient in more than one art. So, they're just artistic in general. And that sounds like what you are as well. If you're good at art or in creating, then that I think leads to acting as well.
I don't know. I think I should have just kept painting. I mean, I've never stopped painting, so like that's my. I just.
Oh, it is.
Yeah. So like, I have a website, Melora Walters Art. Like, I paint.
That's so nice.
Sometimes I'm like, I shouldn't have gone into acting.
Well, my wife paints, and that's kind of a hobby for her, and she gets a lot of enjoyment, kind of relaxation from it. So I can appreciate good art. I cannot draw to save my life. If I wanted to draw something, you wouldn't have a clue what it was. It's terrible. I've just never had that type of ability. So I can appreciate it if you can sit down and actually create art.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, there are people who would argue that you could. Like, there's that famous, it's really old book called Drawing from the Right Side of the Brain.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it goes through this process to get you to access a part of the brain that maybe you're not always connecting with. And I've seen someone do it, and they ended up like drawing. Like,
maybe I need to check that out.
Check it out.
Yeah, maybe I could Teach this old dog a new trick.
For brain health, just for brain health, like.
Well, yeah. I think that's actually really important as we're getting older. Anything we can do to kind of keep the brain sharp. I think we've learned that with so many illnesses that affect the brain. It's important to do that. I'll look at that because I can't imagine. I've got to be, maybe if it's like painting for dummies, I could get the.
No, you can't approach that. See, you can't be judgmental. You can't do that.
I gotta have an open mind.
Open mind, literally, and just go through the steps. And I bet you'll be like, I can't believe I just drew that.
Yeah, I gotta try that.
Yeah, like learning a new language,
Yeah.
Consider.
All right. Once I do it though, I'm gonna call you up. You gotta look at it.
Deal.
Do you also, are you musical as well? Do you play an instrument?
No, I studied piano, and then in school, like elementary school, I had to be a part of a band. So then I played clarinet, and then the guy was like, "You're really talented, and you need to play tenor saxophone." I rode my bike to school, so it was very complicated. But even my piano teacher when I was little was like, "You're very talented. I love classical music." But here's a weird thing. To perform music for me, even at like as a child,
right,
was too much. Like the pressure, the notes, like I had these solos, and afterwards people would say, "That was really good," but I was like, it was just, I thought I was gonna die. It was too much. Yeah, I was like, no.
Well, do you have that same anxiety, let's say, when you act?
I have two different approaches to acting. One is acting. Who cares? Does it even exist? Like, you can take someone who can't act, and if you put them in the right role and you film them the right way, they're going to be brilliant. Okay, I'm sorry, it's true. Yeah. But when I get a role, I have to memorize. And then I'm on set, and it's like the first line that I have to say, I'm like, even if it's like, "Excuse me," I'll be like, "Can I do this?" "Excuse me?" Yes, so I have both parts of my brain work and cause tremendous chaos.
Yeah. I completely get that, because I think acting is definitely not an easy profession. I think it can be very emotionally trying, let's say.
I don't know. Acting is such a curious,
right.
So curious. Like I binge watched this Italian show called My Brilliant Friend.
Okay.
It's on.
What's it on?
I think it's HBO and Amazon Prime.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
It's based on a series of novels. It's brilliant. It's shot like a film. It's gorgeous. But how they cast it, I swear to God, I don't care what they're saying. Like, I don't care if there's subtitles. I'm just like, they're just, these people are, I mean, obviously they're acting, but they're just, like, I feel like sometimes if you put a camera on someone, you could just watch them forever.
Yeah, no, I get that. I completely get that. Yeah, some people make it look so natural.
Yeah. So I made a few films, and one of them had Mira Sorvino and James LeGros in it.
Was that Drowning?
No, Drowning's going to be released at the end of October.
Okay.
Mira's in that one.
That's what I thought. Okay.
And Jay Moore is in that one, and Gil Bellows is in that one.
No, it's such a great cast. I was looking at that. I love all of them.
Please, stay posted on that one. Yeah. But on Water Lily Jaguar, before we started shooting, I was saying to these guys, listen, you put a camera on James LeGros or Mira Sorvino and tell them to read a book. You will watch them for an hour and never get bored.
Yeah, I would watch that.
And you, like, what is that? What is it that, like, Mira contains where you can just look at her and watch her?
Yeah. I love that, because you're right. You're right. There's certain people that you could just sit and watch all day, no matter what they were doing.
No, yeah.
So I had my first acting experience this past weekend. I was on and it was just audio. We're doing an audio drama that we're going to put on the podcast. So I got just a small role in it, but it called for me to get emotional. I had to get emotional, and I had a hard time getting there. So my wife, she gives me something to think about to get emotional, and it worked. I got emotional. Well, and that went fine. The acting went fine. But then the problem was I couldn't get unemotional. So the acting ended, and I was sad the rest of the night. So it's hours later, and she's looking at me, and she's like, "What's the matter with you?" And I was like, "I don't think I could be an actor because it'd take me a week to recover from every job I had. I'm still sad."
It's interesting. Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, have you had a role like that just affected you really strongly, where it took you a little while to recover?
No, I think, I've been told when I was with people that, like, when I came home from doing certain projects, they're like, that really got you. And I'm like, what are you talking about? I'm fine. I'm fine. In fact, it was therapeutic. I don't care. I'm fine. I don't feel anything. It's all acting. It's all nonsense. Hogwash. But where I'm very conscious of it is writing. So I've written this new project called Nebulous that, is in the process of getting made.
Yeah.
It's very COVID-19, about relationships and relationships, inner relationships, and what this has done to us.
Right.
And like last night, I did a version, and the producers are like, all right, we've got actors. All right, what's the next step? Tomorrow, we're going to have this talk. But I finished writing that, and I was like, I'm so depressed.
Oh, no.
I have a daughter, and she called. She's like, what's wrong with you? I'm like, nothing, but let me tell you something. And she was like, Mom, stop talking like that. How am I supposed to continue in life if you're talking like that? I'm like, I don't know. And so this morning, she calls me, like she's my mom. She's like, are you feeling better? And I was like, I think it's the combination of the heat and the script I just wrote.
Yeah, it just took a lot out of you.
It just I was like.
Well, have you always written, or is that something you kind of picked up as you went along in your career?
I've always written, but I think as a child, I don't know what compels a child to write. I mean, at first, I think when I was 6 or 7, it was like I had a need to document what happened.
Right.
Document my existence.
Sure.
I was doing that at that age. And then I kind of got into poetry. So I've always written, and even with my paintings, sometimes there are words or poems or stories associated, even if I don't write it. Or sometimes I'll write it, but I'll paint over it. But I didn't actually start writing quote unquote scripts where you need to use final drafts. Sorry.
Hello. Oh, that's all right.
Okay, there.
Bring them on.
So I didn't start that script writing with final draft. That was a big deal. Final draft.
That's right.
Like the SAG card. Final draft. Until about 10 years ago. And it's Mira Sorvino and her husband, Chris Backus. I'm very close with them. And
right.
I'm crazy. I'm crazy for John Cassavetes and Ingmar Bergman.
Oh, yeah.
And LACMA, the Los Angeles County Museum of Art, had a retrospective of Michelangelo Antonioni's films, and he made an appearance.
Oh, how neat.
his films, his early films, black and white, were like, they just, all of this, like, I was just charged. And Mira and Chris were like, do it. Start
Yeah.
writing. We can make films.
Oh, that's awesome.
So it's because of them. Because of them.
Yeah. All right. All right. Well, hey, that's I love it. Yeah, I love it. That's really cool. And it sounds like you've kind of continued that relationship with them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That's well, if you're going to have friends, you might as well have talented friends.
Friends that encourage you to
right. Lift you up.
Yeah. And go, you can do it, you know,
Yeah.
write, paint, you know, who cares if no one's seen your films or your paintings or, you know, like just keep producing. Like, I think that's, as an artist, oh, here's an interesting acting thing. And as an actor, you need an audience.
Yeah.
Right? So you need
sure.
some kind of like.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I get it, because you kind of feed off the energy, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. So I've been a fan of yours since you were on Seinfeld. So it's been a while. You were Jane on Seinfeld on that the classic Hamptons episode, right? That was the shrinkage episode, I think, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I wasn't very nice.
No, not on that episode you weren't. Yeah, but it was George. I mean, he kind of deserved it.
No, nobody deserves that. That's me.
So we've been very lucky that you are let me think, you are our sixth person that has had Seinfeld ties. So we have had Larry Hankin, who went on to do Breaking Bad and Friends and a lot of stuff. We had Lee Ehrenberg, who did Pirates of the Caribbean and Once Upon a Time. Phil Morris, who has been just, we had him on last week and he was terrific. Who am I forgetting? We had, Peter Melman, who was one of the producers. And then Walter Okowitz, who played the cable guy that chased Kramer around. And so you're number 6. So that's pretty good. That's pretty good. Seinfeld was such a great show. I know that was probably one of your earlier acting jobs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had come out to LA from New York. I think I had done Roseanne, so it was sitcom, you know.
Oh, Roseanne. Yeah, I saw you were on several episodes of that.
Yeah. And then I got this. And or somewhere in there, this sitcom thing. It was it's quite a production.
Right. I
mean, the way the brains operate and it, again, what you were saying, like some actors, it just seems so easy and natural, and you watch the shows and the timing and the this is right, but the amount of, it's like the tip of the iceberg, because that's what we're seeing, but the amount of stuff that goes on to make that work is it's a machine.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure. I always kind of admired Seinfeld because they're not afraid to let guest stars be funny. You know, it's like all the good lines don't go to the main characters. A lot of times, you know, the funniest lines are on people that are coming on the show just for, you know, one or two episodes. I thought that's kind of neat because not all sitcoms especially do that.
Right.
Yeah. So I thought that was kind of neat. I wanted to ask you that I noticed, because you've had such a great career, but you have been on like every crime drama that is on television. Does that, once you've been on one or two of them, is that how you get the other ones? Do they be like, well, she was so good on, you know, Law and Order or The Mentalist or whatever it was? Does that just keep landing you jobs on those type of shows?
I don't know. I don't know how to get any job.
Well, I do. You're very talented. But that, because I was looking, it's like Law and Order, NCIS, Criminal Minds, Mentalist, Rake. I remember Rake, CSI. You've been on all those.
Well, at least the Mentalist, my character was innocuous, just a normal person. But I think sometimes, like, who can we cast to play tortured, inner, dying misery? Oh, Melora.
Oh, no.
Oh, that was on that other show. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, she could do it. So I want to talk to you about Big Love because my wife and I were such huge fans of that show. But I wanted to ask you before I do that. You're on a very quirky show that I was just a huge fan of called the OA. You got to do an episode or two of that, and I just wondered, just one. Well, I wondered what that was like because that was such an odd show, but it was it really captured your imagination and your attention when you watched it. So I just wondered what that was like being on that show.
Well, I only worked with Britt, and and I obviously I watched season 1 because I think I was in the first episode of season 2. Again, really, I really like playing normal people. She's just like a normal person. So it was really neat to watch Zal and Britt.
Yeah.
Because the whole show really came from those two brains.
Right.
And so it was really beautiful to watch that relationship.
Yeah.
I really like that. She's also so stunningly beautiful. It's really nice. Right. It was just a nice thing to watch.
She's very naturally pretty, I think.
Just gorgeous.
Yeah, very, very pretty lady and talented. I thought that show was really really great. So you played Wanda on Big Love, and we loved you. You were one of our favorite characters. Yeah, she was at times could be a little menacing. She was a little kooky.
But there's a situation where Mark V. Olson and Will Sheffer, the creators of that show, I knew Will from the Actors Studio in New York.
Okay.
Like that. But to watch them, together.
Yeah.
And to read their writing was really a gift.
Yeah.
Like, talk about two brains, again, these two brains that just created this, like, I mean, it is based on somewhat on facts, but reality, but terrifying reality, but, but so beautiful to watch how their brains worked.
Right. It was what a great cast. I mean, just about everybody in it was amazing, and we've had Ben Koldike had came on the show before, and he had just great things to say about the writers and creators on that show as well. I just said it was just a wonderful experience with them. I was curious, were you satisfied with the ending for Wanda? Or did you know ahead of time where that was headed?
This is what I can tell you. So it's very obvious from the beginning with Wanda that she's a little off.
Right.
It's not her fault because in the end you realize her mother and father are brother and sister.
That's right.
And that she had a thing with her brother. It wasn't mutual appreciation, but
right.
But initially she's just married to her husband, which is strange in the fundamentalist thing, right? Just had one wife.
That's right.
And I discussed this with Mark and Will, like, Wanda is in love with her husband.
Yes.
Okay. She doesn't really care about anything, not even religion. She just is in love with her husband. Like, that's her world. She's in love with her husband. She knows that men have many wives, but this is what's keeping her going. So
Right.
when they go, we're bringing it, he's going to have another wife.
Right.
I emailed them. I went to them. I'm like, she's dead.
Yeah. That's
She's
not going to
dead.
work.
This is not going to work. Inside, she is dead. So I kept saying, just let her kill herself. Please, just let her die.
Yeah. Yeah.
So from the moment that he married another woman, I, playing her, like justifying whatever decisions, it's so strange how you justify these decisions as
Right.
an actor, like based on what? That I was like, my inner core was like, I've lost my compass. There is no God. There is nothing. I'm going to die. I can't live without him.
Yeah.
And so everything for me playing her was fused with that.
Yeah, that's really interesting, and that's a really good way to kind of interpret that, I think, because that fits her character, at least the way she was portrayed. That's
So I think, like, I didn't watch Dan, so I think she just disappears, right?
yeah, yeah. It does. It leaves it a little open.
Yeah.
Yeah, it leaves it a little open.
I was like, please let me just kill myself.
She might have. We don't know.
No.
Yeah, we don't know.
Especially, like, between you and me, and Will and Mark know, she started dying when she lost her husband.
Yeah, no, that's actually really really good insight. Yeah, and I think you kind of portrayed it that way. You know,
So,
you could pick up on that a little bit. Yeah, that's really interesting. So, you know, we lost Bill Paxton.
oh my
Who,
God, that was
I
tragic.
know. Oh my gosh, he's one of my favorite actors. So I was wondered if you had any good stories about Bill or the experience of working with
He
him.
was just so kind.
Yeah,
He was just really kind, and he would talk about the projects he was working on, because he was a director too.
yeah,
And he had a lovely family, and he would talk about his kids, and he was just like, when he, like, he'd sit next to you, either on set or, at the big HBO parties, or
yeah.
he was just like a real person and a normal person, and he was just so kind. It's
Yeah.
not fair.
No, it's awful. That's much too soon. And he was very
Yeah,
talented, and all the tributes that you saw about him, that's exactly what they said, that he was just such a kind person.
kind.
Yeah, yeah. I really hated that.
Yeah.
So you've been like the rest of us dealing with the COVID situation all of these months. Have you kept yourself busy just writing and painting, or what else have you done to kind of keep busy?
I'm always writing and painting, so, that didn't change anything. But I did decide to write something very specific,
Okay.
which the title is Nebulous. So that's the
Yeah.
project that I was like, how do I write something that explores what it's like for different people,
Sure.
people who are isolated, people who are in relationships, relationships are breaking apart, coming together.
Yeah.
And the other thing that interested me was, how do I write something that, how do you shoot now? Because this is a big deal. Like, how do you
Right.
shoot stuff now that protects everybody health-wise?
Right.
So it was interesting to approach writing with that in mind.
Sure. Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. It's going to be interesting going forward to see, how those, especially the intimate moments, are portrayed on
yeah,
screen, because they're trying to protect everybody.
yeah.
A lot of implied stuff's going to be going on.
I don't know. But even that, like, if you can't have people closer together than 6 feet without a mask,
Yeah. Yeah.
what does that do? Like,
I
also
know.
psychologically, like, what does that do?
Yeah. Yeah. That's a good point. Yeah, for sure. Have you done any, do you do any voice work?
I have a voiceover agent,
Yeah.
Imperium 7, and they've been bringing me in for years and years and years, and I never book a thing, and ever. But they don't dump me, and I love auditioning for these voices. I really want to play an animal, and they just keep bringing me in, and I keep not booking anything, and
Come on.
and I love it.
You've got I think such a distinct voice. I'm really surprised at that. I would have thought you would have booked at least a few things.
I think that it's a world in itself, so it's hard to break into.
It is. It's true.
And the voiceover people, actors who are voiceover people, they have a library of voices and characters.
Right.
So I betcha there's someone. I mean, I can lower my voice, I can do accents, but I'm sure there's someone who could do a version of me like that.
Yeah, you're probably right, because you're right. They're very. It's a very talented group, and the interviews we've done with just voice actors, that's kind of what they say. It's very hard to break into, but once you get in, you do pretty well.
Okay, well, yeah. When I'm 90,
we're gonna get you in there. It's gonna happen. Now that you've been on Too Opinionated, they're gonna start rolling in.
Oh yeah. Okay.
It's all coming now.
All
so
right.
You're on another. I wanted to ask you this first though. You were in a. I think I saw it on Netflix, but maybe not. But you were in a movie called Robert the Bruce.
Yes.
I really liked you in that, because I'm kind of a history guy. I like the history stuff, and I thought that was a really well done movie.
Yeah, Richard Gray directed it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that, working on that.
Yeah, I thought that was kind of neat. But you're also in a show that's it's another quirky show called Pen 15, and we my wife and I kind of discovered that one by accident, and I love it. Explain what that show's about and what your role is on it.
Okay, I'm a mom, and I'm a inappropriate mom. I'm really background to Anna Conkle and Maya Erskine, who play Anna and Maya on the show.
Yeah.
And you should probably describe it. It's very hard to describe.
Well, it's almost, they're like grown-ups, but they're playing middle schoolers that everybody they interact with is actually middle school age, but they're not.
No.
It's very strange. It's very well done, because you think it would, like it's a little awkward in places, but you think it would just be impossible to do. But they do such a great job.
Yeah, they're just amazing. And season 2 is coming out this month, so
I know, we're very excited about it.
Yeah.
And you're going to be in it?
Yes.
Yeah. You play Kathy. Kathy's her name.
Yeah, Anna's mom.
Anna's mom. Yeah. It's you do such a good job on that. And that's
very inappropriate.
Yeah, very inappropriate, but funny.
Crazy.
Let me think. What am I missing? Oh, yeah, you've been in so many things. You played the homeless woman in Venom.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And then I did Tom Hardy Venom.
Yes, I was going to say you had a very important role.
Yes, I am the mother of Venom. And behold.
I know. What was that like? That's such an important role in the film.
That was, talk about big productions.
Yeah.
That was crazy. It was fun. It was really, really fun.
Yeah, that was really cool. And we're, I was a comic book owner back in the 90s, so I'm a big comic book fan, and my son's the same way. So it's that Venom on the screen. That was a really big deal. That was one we look forward to.
What did you, being fans of it before it was on screen? What did you think of how they what they did with it on screen? I'm curious. Yeah,
so I thought they did a pretty good job with it, because they've portrayed it a few different ways. You have the alien type of presence that comes to Earth, and that was kind of in the comic books, where the Eddie Brock contracts it, and then eventually it or no, I got it backwards. It's Spider-Man gets it and eventually ends up with Eddie Brock and turns kind of, when it started, it was kind of a helpful alien. And then when Eddie got a hold of it, it became more and more kind of not really malicious, but a little malicious. But I thought the film portrayed it pretty well for the way that they did it. And I thought Tom Hardy was terrific in showing the struggle that he was having controlling the symbiote, so I thought that was really well done. I'm looking forward to the second one because I know in the second one they bring, I think Woody Harrelson's playing Carnage.
Yeah,
and that's yeah. So I think that'll be really interesting. Did you ever read any of the original comics?
No, I'm not a comic book person, but
Yeah.
I have a son and daughter. My son was, so he would show me like the art on graphic novels, like for instance Hellboy,
Yes.
Mignola.
Frank Magnolia. Yeah. Tough name. Yeah.
The art's just stunning. But I want to go back. Like Tom Hardy is another one of those actors where he's just
amazing.
So amazing.
Yeah.
I binge watched Peaky Blinders, and when Tom Hardy's character came on, I was like, wait a minute. I have to like Google who is this actor.
He was great in Peaky Blinders.
Well, everyone's great in Peaky Blinders.
That's true. Such a good show.
Oh my, Cillian Murphy, forget about it.
Yes.
Just forget it. Just like quit acting, go home. Like once you see that show, you're like, oh.
Yeah.
I quit.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, Tom Hardy, wow. And they could have picked him for a lot of different roles, I think, as far as what hero villain they wanted him to play in the Marvel universe. But Venom was a really good choice. He's excellent.
Yeah, he's oddly sweet in it,
Really? Yeah, he is. Yeah, in the movie, yeah, he is.
Yeah, and I had a friend, he has younger sons, and he was like, well, my kids really want to see Venom. I'm like, well, it was geared towards younger boys. And he's like, well, is it violent? I'm like, no. And then I'm like, wait, he does bite someone's head off and eats it, but it's kind of funny. But then I was thinking, that's crazy. Like, what am I saying? Someone bites someone's head off and eats it, and it's funny?
But it kind of was. I mean, they could have went and made it a very violent version of Venom, and they didn't really do that. It was
no, they didn't.
It was kind of comic booky, really.
Yeah, like he couldn't help himself.
That's right. Yeah,
this deep guy just can't help himself.
Yeah, and I actually thought it had a lot of callbacks. So when Venom really, I think artwork wise took off was when Todd McFarlane, who created Spawn. I don't know if you've heard of that, but he started doing the artwork for Spider-Man and drew Venom and became he became kind of famous off of that. And I think the movie kind of called back to some of his artwork, I think, on Venom. So I thought it was well done. Yeah, I thought it was really good. But neat. I thought, what a neat way to get into the Marvel movies with you being able to kind of create Venom. That's awesome.
Well, I haven't been invited back.
Venom.
I haven't been invited back, so maybe I didn't do a very good job.
I don't know. They need to have you back.
I should be a really evil character.
Yes. They could totally do it because there's so many of those offshoots of Venom in the comics. You could easily have played one of those. Yeah, I'm gonna call. Who do I need to call?
I need a list. I'll give it to my agent manager and be like, he said that I'd be
That's right. He said that guy from Too Opinionated said I needed to be back on here.
Yeah, so like maybe I could play this other role.
Yeah, for
Could
sure.
you ask Marvel people? Because he said I could.
Yeah, I think yes. Let's get you back in here. So, so you mentioned it earlier, but you've got Drowning that's coming out. Is there anything you can tell us about what that movie's about? Well,
my films are very psychological studies of what it is to be human. So
yeah, awesome.
Yeah, so it's a certain type of film that maybe not everybody likes. But I'll be positive. So the main character that I play,
Yeah.
It
Which is cool. If you're going to write something, you should put yourself in it.
Well, we shot it. The way we shot it, I was like, I just ended up casting myself because we weren't going to have a lot of time, and it was going to be long days. So basically, my son in real life was deployed.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And
what branch of the military is he in?
Yeah, he was in the Army Reserves.
Okay.
Okay. So he got his deployment orders in the summer, Obama's last summer.
Okay.
So we were withdrawing from Iraq.
Yes.
But by the time they do all this training, right?
That's right.
When you're deployed. And not just basic training, like you've done basic training and then you get deployed.
That's right. That's right.
So then they do all this other training, and then they ship you off.
Yes.
So this is a whole new world for me. Even though like grandparents and my father, they were all in the military, actually seeing it in my life.
Yeah, and that's hard.
It was weird.
Yeah.
And so by the time he was in action, Trump was president. Yes. And what we were doing in the Middle East was different than what we had been doing. So I leave it at that. But the point is, I during the time he was deployed, I think I directed Water Lily Jaguar. I was a gun for hire director on this Lifetime movie called The Lover in the Attic in Atlanta.
Oh, nice.
I might have shot Venom. I did the film Cam. I did the film In a Relationship. I did a film called The Amaranth. So I was like working nonstop. But I realized that when your son is deployed, or your daughter, or your husband, or your boyfriend, or your girlfriend, being here, no one, you know what I just said? There's all this training before you go.
That's right.
Get deployed. No one trains the people left behind.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's an excellent point.
So no news is good news. Everybody tells you no news is good news. But then anytime the phone rings, you're like,
oh man, yeah.
Oh, maybe it's him or her. At the same time, you're like, but, and then someone said to me at the time, it's not like the movies, Melora. No one's going to knock on the door and hand you a flag and say, we're sorry.
Right.
It doesn't work like that. And I was like, well, what happens? And so it was an exploration really of depression, because a normal person, I'm not in the military. I mean, I grew up into it, but I'm not in it.
Sure.
Seeing this, how do you live a normal, like, you want to go out for lunch when you know that someone is like fighting ISIS in Mosul? Like,
right. Weird.
Yeah, weird. But I also realized then that depression itself, you get caught up in something that is tangible.
Yeah.
It's like people who are depressed, they have a reason.
Sure.
It's not like, I mean, even if it's chemical, like there are things that happen to people in life that can make you depressed.
Absolutely.
Right. So some people have, I don't know if it's genetic or chemical or their approach on life where they can override it. And some people, it does a downward spiral.
That's right. That's right.
So I explored that downward spiral using a son being deployed as the catalyst.
Yeah. Yeah. That's really interesting. And I love that, because that's a little different than what we've seen, because you usually don't see that side of it other than the parents answering the door type of thing.
Right. And at one point we had someone in the crew, and was this lovely woman, and she came up to me and she said, I was a Marine and I was deployed. And it's really interesting to see what happened on this side.
Yeah.
Because nobody trains you for that. But, nobody trains you in life for, a lot of bad things.
That's right.
And for instance, the COVID, it's a crisis.
It is.
The pandemic is a global crisis.
Right.
No one really ever prepared anyone for this.
Absolutely not.
No. So from what I understand, depression, suicide, drug abuse, alcohol abuse, domestic violence are all like skyrocketing.
Yeah, well, yeah, because you've got all of these people that have issues and now they're isolated and they're not getting the help that they normally get. Plus they're not having any interaction with people. So
But even people who don't, quote unquote, we all have issues, according to Tolstoy.
That's true. That's true.
Right? Even if you're a happy family or a happy individual, now being isolated or going out in the world wearing a mask, or it's that's enough to have.
It is. Yeah, you're absolutely right. I like the angle of kind of exploring that because it has had negative effects on the majority of us, for sure.
Also tremendous positive things have emerged.
Some good things, absolutely.
But it's not something anyone was prepared for, and here we are.
Yeah, I really like that. My oldest, her husband was deployed. It's been a couple years ago, but he was gone for 6 months and came back. Everything was fine, but just watching her go through that, they were newlywed, so they hadn't been married very long when he had to leave, and just watching the effect that it had on her being on her own and worrying, and then when he came back, having to kind of reintegrate and get used to each other again. I always thought that would have made a really good movie because it's very human, I think.
Right, and also all the changes he went through, and are just as valid as the changes your daughter went through.
Well, of course, yeah, they almost come. They're different people when they get back together. They have to reconnect.
Yes, it's interesting.
Yeah, it really is. I think that's really good, and you've got such a good cast in that movie. How in the world did you get so many talented people?
Well, I worked with all the people, and then we asked people, like, or someone would know someone. Hey, I know Jim O'Hare. I was like, great. Will you see if he'll play this part? But
is Jim O'Hare in it?
Yeah, he has a small role. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, yeah. We had Jim on the show right when the pandemic started, and absolutely the nicest person.
The nicest person. Yeah, but like Jay Moore, I worked on a film called Speaking of Sex with Jay.
Yes.
And John McNaughton directed it, and so I've known Jay for a long time. So I asked him if he would play this role, not expecting him to, but he did, and he's so good. Jay Moore is an incredible actor.
Yeah, I love Jay Moore.
He's also a poet. He's got a book of poetry.
Really?
He's also got a podcast. The guy is like crazy genius talented, like crazy.
I love listening to him talk. I've always have. I think he's just great.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and you've got Gil Bellows.
Oh, Gil
Billy. Got Billy on there. Yeah, I've liked him since Ally McBeal, and of course he's done a ton since then. But
yeah, he's amazing. Also,
he's terrific.
Crazily gifted actor.
Yeah, what a cast. And we already talked about Mira being on there.
Yeah, Mira, forget it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's I'm jealous. That's a great cast.
It was really a gift.
Yeah. No, that's really cool, and it had to be fun seeing something that you wrote get made, and you got to not only direct it but be right in the middle of it.
I mean that is the collaboration on that film really makes you feel, or really made me feel like this is what the filmmakers that I aspire to, like, this is this family, this group of people, and we're all in it together, and we're all like working off of each other, and that part of acting is magic. I think it's like a drug. I'm not a big drinker. I don't do drugs, but when films end where you're really, it's just like, a long period of time of working with these people in a collaborative way, which I don't always get the opportunity to. I have like small roles or background roles. When I'm actually on a really collaborative set, it just like, it's like the best food you can imagine. It's just like, this is it. Like, why can't I have this?
All the time.
All the time. Yeah.
All the time. Oh, that's great. I love it. Well, so, but before I let you go, is there a role or a genre that you haven't done that you would like to do?
I don't know.
You've been in so much. You've probably done just about it. Have you done horror? Have you done any horror?
Yeah. So I, the film called The Pale Door, it just came out.
Oh, right. Yeah.
That was my first horror film. And then I did another one called Off Season, but it's coming out next year. I think Warner Brothers is distributing that. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe not. I don't know. And then I did one called Severed Silence, which hasn't come out. So that horror.
Yeah, you've covered that.
Horror is very interesting because how they shoot that is, it's almost like a comic book, like in their head, they see the scenes. And me as an actor, I'm like, yeah, but if I felt this here, then how did I get over there? Like, wouldn't there be there? And then I had realized with Aaron Kuntz, who directed Pale Door, I realized, oh my God, I like to watch people. So I realized how I was like, oh, he's seeing it in his head.
Yeah.
All I have to do is be what he wants in that moment. And somehow he's going to cut it together.
Right.
And I have to let go of this like actor, like, but I don't understand how I felt this way here. And like, no. So it was a really, I loved it.
Yeah, I could see it because you can kind of let go that worry, let him worry about that part.
Yeah, which in a weird way, I think I feel in general for directors, like they have the, like they have like a godlike, vision. They created this world and I'm just going to do whatever they say. Like in general, I have that benevolent father figure or mother figure.
Sure.
But horror films definitely is it's just different. Yeah.
Oh, I'm sure it has to be. Yeah, it's interesting. Well, Melora, this has been wonderful. I appreciate it so much. This has been great. Before you go though, tell everybody where they can find you. Give your art website again, and just if they want to know more about you, where can they go?
I don't know.
That's not true.
And my art is Melora Walters art.com. Yeah. But to find more about, I don't know.
I mean, there's a ton on Wikipedia. There's a ton on IMDb.
It's all nonsense. It's just all nonsense. I don't know how you know what? Like, I encourage people to just read the book, enjoy the book, watch the film, enjoy the film, and the rest doesn't matter.
Well, okay, how about this? Any other projects that you're working on that we can look forward to?
Well, knock on wood that Nebulous gets made soon.
I'm excited for that one.
Yeah. And I also got with James Sakura, he asked me he was the head of development for Robert Evans' company, and he asked me to write a script on W.C. Fields. So I did. So we're in the process of trying to get that made.
Oh, W.C. Fields. I didn't catch that. Yeah, that'd be awesome.
So knock on wood for that.
Yeah.
And then these other films that, are going to come out are Off Season, Severed Silence, Pen 15 is coming out later this month, Drowning's coming out end of October.
It's a lot.
Knock on wood that I get another job.
You will. I told you, now that you've been on the podcast, you may want to take the phone off the hook.
Okay.
It's going to get busy.
Okay.
It's going to get crazy.
Okay. Okay. Sure.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you so much. This has been great.
Thank you.
Well, you're so welcome. You're so welcome. Hold on a second. I'm going to hit on. Oh, that was wonderful. So that was Melora Walters, and she is awesome. That was so much fun, and she is as nice as I thought she would be. She was wonderful and very kind and just fun to talk to. I love the answers where she's like, I don't know how I got that job. I thought that was terrific. So what a fun interview, and I hope we get to have her back on real soon. Hopefully you enjoyed that. We really appreciate the continued support. Please do us a favor. We've got a brand new website, meistercon.com. Please take a look, give us some feedback on that. You can find us on Facebook under MeisterCon. We've got a couple of fun Facebook groups. If you want some interaction with other pop culture geeks, you can go to Meisterchondriacs. We've got coming up on 12,000 members in that group, so that's a fun group. And we've got a brand new group called Villains Helping Villains, which is cartoon villains, and they're kind of giving each other advice and helping each other out. So that's kind of a fun group. It's very small at the moment, probably 150 people, but I think you would enjoy that. It's a lot of fun. If you're in the mood or you would like to help us out, we are in the process of opening up our studio. Even a dollar or two can be a big help. You can go to patreon.com/MeisterCon and unlock some extra content. You might even be able to find yourself on a episode of Too Opinionated. So take a look there. If you can help, we would appreciate it. Thank everybody so much for listening, and we'll see you again real soon. Bye, everybody.